Welcome to the Geek Week in Review, week 44. Where is Kenobi?
The Geek Week in Review.
Hello and welcome back to the Geek Week in Review. It is week 54 with me, Jacob's Toys, of course, the wonderful one and only SuperSorrell, and our good friend Ryan Speaks Geek. As you can probably tell from the intro, this week is going to be very Star Wars heavy because we did see that final episode of Kenobi.
No, I was a stormtrooper. I missed it.
As always, do check out the website, geekweekinreview.co.uk, and on there you can see all of our socials and also the different ways that you can follow and support the Geek Week in Review. We do appreciate all the support across all the platforms. Right, let's get into it. Let's dive deep because we've got a lot of stuff to do with Star Wars to talk about this week, with a little sprinkling of Marvel in there as well. Miss Marvel, if you'd like.
Should we start with Marvel? Because let's be honest, Kenobi's going to dominate. So
Yeah.
All right, let's start with Miss Marvel. Well, I tell you what, let's start with Marvel in general. Marvel Legends has been really quiet. Personally, I think it's on the lead up to San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah, definitely.
I think we're going to see a whole tsunami of reveals, etc. And they've only revealed one figure recently, and that was the retro card Apocalypse, which I'm here for. I think it looks wicked. Interesting choice of colors. Yeah. It's very similar to the animated style kind of selection of colors. And a lot of people where they've been kind of sharing it have used images from the animated TV show. But they put it on a retro card as opposed to in the VHS box. So yeah, I'm cool. I'm personally, as a Marvel Legends collector, I'm always down for another Apocalypse, and I like the fact that he does look different than the other versions we've had.
Size-wise, would it have fit in a VHS box? And essentially, I know it's the same scale, but is it slightly bigger than the normal?
Well,
figures?
my theory is that all of the oversized figures are essentially builder figures. They're all reused builder figures, so they could put him in a VHS box if they took him apart. In my view, if you had to kind of build him, but then I suppose that would open up the conversation of they're giving us a builder figure in a VHS box. So I don't know, but yeah, I mean, it's cool. It'll look good next to X-Men. And while we're on the subject of X-Men, Doctor Strange. It's like, I don't know. I love it when that goes off. It's like one of us has a good idea. Doctor Strange Into the Multiverse of Madness landed on Disney Plus this week. Did you guys re-watch it?
Yes.
No, my friend who didn't see it at the cinema messaged me, and it's interesting because obviously he watched it for the first time after the hype had sort of been and gone, and all the reviews in. So his take on it was like, he just messaged just saying like, so Doctor Strange, that was dark. It's like, yeah, but like that was it, and he was like, he wasn't blown away by it. He just thought it was all right. He just thought it was quite dark, but it's kind of interesting, I guess, because like, I do sometimes wonder with Marvel films, when I've rewatched a few of them back, did I enjoy them more because of the hype and the build-up around it, and then you finally see it, it's like a release, I guess. You know, you're so pent-up excitement, then you watch it and you're like, bah! Whereas, you know, once it's been gone, reviewed to death, everyone's done a video on YouTube about it, there's been 16 parodies on TikTok about it, and 12 million people have made jokes about John Krasinski, you know, turning into spaghetti. So it was interesting hearing his perspective, and it was just like, it was all right. You know, he was like a bit dark. It wasn't, and then so the more I think about it, the more I'm like, it was all right. Like, I don't think it was groundbreaking. So I'm kind of curious to rewatch it. But you guys rewatched it. What do you guys think?
I think I've said this before. Doctor Strange was never the first Doctor Strange film did not blow anyone away. It was not one that people turned around and went, that is my favorite Marvel film of all time. People were like, okay, it's right. And I think Doctor Strange is quite a niche character, even in the comic books. I think he's very good as an ensemble character, as part of like the Avengers and the wider team and stuff. But to carry a Doctor Strange film, it's quite a niche market. And I think that's why a lot of people aren't kind of blown away by it, because they're expecting something more than what it is. I think as a Doctor Strange property, it's pretty cool. But But there were a couple of things that I noticed and that I read up about after watching it. Did you notice anything different at all?
No. I watched it again.
Was...
I enjoyed it, but I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't find anything new or anything.
I enjoyed it. I did enjoy it. Yeah, I didn't not enjoy it. I did enjoy it. The key thing for me is that I didn't hype as much about the Illuminati as I did when I saw it the first time. When I knew who was coming, it didn't hype me up as much. But I did notice. Now, I always watch stuff with the subtitles on when I'm watching it at home. I don't know why, it's like a weird habit that I'm into. But if I'm watching something for the second or third time, or whatever, I'll put the subtitles on and I kind of read it, if that makes sense. And when Professor X comes out, the music plays and it actually says in the subtitles, X-Men 97 theme plays. Which is the upcoming
TV
animated show, which I found really curious because I heard it and I just thought, oh, it's the X-Men theme, but it was actually the X-Men 97 theme. The other thing that I noticed as well, and I kind of noticed this through doing a bit of research and various posts and stuff, the big creature at the beginning with the eye is actually a scan of Elizabeth Olsen's eye. So it's supposed to kind of foreshadow that it's her. So it's actually her eye in the middle of that scene.
I did think, because like the other day I was looking at I was matching all the eyes of the Avengers, and I thought to myself, one of them looked really familiar.
Well, that's what I thought. When people were like, "Oh, that you missed this, whatever." There was another thing in one of the multiverses that he goes through. One of them actually has the Stark drones that we see in Spider-Man No Way Home and obviously Miss Marvel. So that's supposed to be a hint towards the Invincible Iron Man that we were supposed to get and not get. There's been a lot of talk about how Hope Van Dyne was supposed to be in the Illuminati, as in the Wasp. And there was this big scene where Wanda squashes her in between her hands. Like, that would have been brutal. And my favorite one, I think, was that somebody pointed out that the MetLife building is still visible in that opening fight scene, and the MetLife building is the real world location. Like, the MetLife location is the location of the Avengers Tower in the MCU. So somebody on the editing floor didn't think cut that out and replace it with the Avengers Tower or a space. You can actually see the MetLife building. But I enjoyed it. It was good fun. I'm glad that we have it. There's also an alternate video version of Pizza Popper at the end with what's his face?
Well, the chin. Come on.
What's his name? It's totally gone. Bruce Campbell.
Bruce
Campbell.
I was like, come on, you gotta get it.
Yeah. Where he basically says, like, Doctor Strange hasn't heard the last from the Pizza Popper or something, like, really random. But yeah, it's it is what it is.
It was all right. I enjoyed it the second time around, just as I enjoyed it the first time around. I enjoy more of the. I'm not so fond of the whole, like, the what do you call it? The multiverse element to it was kind of okay. My kind of favorite bit of that film was always the undead Doctor Strange, the darker sort of demony side that Wanda brought into it. And I think if they'd have played into that more, I think it could have been a bit more on the Darkhold, the Dark Realm. I think if they'd played into that more, I think it would have been a better movie almost. But because of Spider-Man and everyone's hyped about the multiverse now and what cameos we're going to get, that's all that everyone talked about before the film came out. What, like Ryan said, seeing it again without the hype, like you say, I wasn't that hyped for all the running through portals and seeing all these different thousands of multiverses. I just wanted to see Wanda and Strange go at it with mystic powers. You know what I mean? That's all I cared about.
Yeah.
And the fact that I do like the undead Doctor Strange with the eye and stuff. That's still the highlight for me.
I think as well. I am looking forward to watching it again because I've only ever seen it in 3D. So a bit like with the original Doctor Strange and this Doctor Strange, I watched both of them in 3D at the cinema. And the reason I did is because, like, those films are what I think are like what 3D was made for, like, spectacle wise, because it's so dimensional based and everything. So the bit where, like, it's almost a bit like Inception, sometimes where things are bending and there's all sorts of stuff like that. And that's the thing. Those things, it looked incredible, and it almost maybe distracted some of the times from what was actually going on, because I was like, this is just so in it. It's a bit like seeing everything everywhere all at once. I was just so in it. And so now it's going to be interesting watching on just a normal TV without that sort of that three-dimensional aspect. Because that, like I said, the special effects in the 3D, that's one of those films where actually 3D really works. Like,
Yeah.
sort of what it's for. So I'm kind of curious to see what it's going to be like just on a normal TV
Yeah.
screen. They're not doing that like as if I'm John Cena, but
I'm curious as to where it's going, like what where they're going to go with this. It's interesting you mentioned everything. What's it called? Everything, everywhere, all at once.
One of the greatest films I've ever seen.
Yeah. Did you know that the budget for that was 25 million?
Yeah.
Do you know how much the budget per episode on She-Hulk is?
Insanely more.
25 million. So every single episode of She-Hulk has the same budget per episode as that entire movie.
Did you guys see it? Everything.
No, not yet. I've seen clips. I haven't had a chance
Honestly,
to sit down and watch it properly.
My two top films for the year so far are Everything Everywhere at Once and Top Gun Maverick.
I haven't seen either.
I could not fault either film.
Top Gun Maverick. I know that the loads of people are coming back about how it's an incredible film, but Top Gun was so something for me. It's really difficult for me to know there's a continuation of the story. Does that make sense?
Honestly, it sounds stupid. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but it's one of the only times I will say it. I think it's one of the only times ever where I've gone and seen a sequel, and I think it's definitely as good, and if what, I think maybe even a tiny bit better.
Wow. Okay.
Original.
Can I upset you both?
Go on,
you don't like Top Gun?
Never ever seen Top Gun, mate. Never even seen it.
I only saw it for the first time in recent years, so it's okay.
It's not a film. It's not a film that was kind of pushed on me as a kid. I didn't grow up with that one, so
I had a group of friends, and we all had the nicknames of the Top Gun people for years, and that was what we referred to each other as. I was Iceman, obviously, but I just picked the one that was most like an X-Men. But yeah, it was. I don't know. It was just such.
Me and my friends were just too busy trying to be the Lost Boys.
Well, you know what? It's funny. Michael was. I always liked Michael. But I was going to say, like Lost Boys, for example, like Lost Boys, Top Gun, like there's some films from my childhood where it's like they're so important as a film. I could sit down and just watch them without a care in the world. Like Top Gun and Lost Boys are two of those. And when they came up with the Lost Boys sequels, I was so hyped, and it ruined it for me. Not it didn't ruin the original film, but it just kind of, I don't know. I knew that there was more stuff out there, and I was like, well, I know that frog brother becomes a vampire, and I know that frog brother ends up living in his caravan, and do you know what I mean? It's like once you know it, you can't take it back. And there was that element of Top Gun for me, but yeah, I know it's amazing. I've not heard a bad word about it so far, so I will go and see it. I don't know, maybe on the plane or something. That's probably not the best film to watch on a plane, is it?
No, you know what? It's a shame though, because I'll be gutted that you won't be able to see it on the big screen, because it was designed. I can see why he fought so hard to make sure it didn't get bought out by any of the TV networks during lockdown. Yeah. It was made for the cinema. It's an 80s blockbuster. It's the return of the blockbuster, and I haven't seen a proper.
Well, maybe I'll go and see it before it leaves. Then maybe I'll see it before it leaves. Yeah. Okay. No, maybe I'll see it before it leaves. Oh man, Top Gun. Just. Oh, okay. Miss Marvel. Let's talk about Miss Marvel. I was on a Top Gun trip there for a little while. Miss Marvel. So the episode was relatively slow. Some good scenes, great big fight scene, but I'm a little bit disappointed. I kind of wish that they had, I don't know, like
I haven't seen it, for the record, everyone watching and listening.
Yeah, they kind of talk about the origin of the powers, don't they? That's kind of what this episode's about, and it's not groundbreaking. I don't think it's like, oh yeah, they're another race of space people. Woo! Like
trapped on our world and trying to find a way home.
Yeah, it's like, I'm sure that was essentially the plot of Captain Marvel.
Yeah, it was.
It could have been a really good opportunity for them to introduce mutants, to introduce Inhumans. You know what I mean? Like any of those kind of other properties of Marvel, they could have kind of alluded towards it. and they didn't. They just kind of chose Spaceman again, and it was like, oh man. So I don't know. It was a good episode, but there really isn't a huge amount to talk about, I don't think, from a kind of reflection point of view.
No, I like the ending of the episode though, where a grandma rings up and we sort of find out that her grandma had the same vision that the aunt is it auntie or something on, and the woman they all had the same vision. I kind of like that, and they saw the train coming towards them and stuff.
Yeah, I think the grandmother's going to be a bigger part of the story than we've initially been kind of led on to.
They kind of made out at the beginning that her grandma's a bit of a crackpot who just sends all these random bangles and artifacts. And I think we're probably going to find out there's more artifacts of power in that loft that they don't know about yet. Doesn't she have 2 bangles in the comics? Not just one.
They were talking about that in this episode, weren't they? Yeah. That there was another bangle, that there was another one out there. And
I wonder if that's what her grandma's going to give her in Karachi in one of the future episodes then, to unite her powers.
The first thing I thought was, I was like, we're going to see a bad person. A bad person's going to have the other, and it's going to be a like-for-like kind of villain. Because we haven't really been told who the big bad is. There's not really and I think they could get away without introducing one. I think they could really get away without introducing one and just sort of seeing this kind of real origin story. But yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed it. I'm loving Miss Marvel as a TV show. Absolutely loving it. I think that it's breaking walls down in all sorts of different ways when it comes to a TV show and an introduction of a new character. But this was a slower episode for me.
Yeah, I did like the wedding scene, the whole the all the scenes to do with like the wedding and the dance routine and the Bollywood sort of stuff. I loved all that. But like you say, it was all the background stuff around it that was a bit didn't live up to the last few episodes.
No, and obviously her friend now knows as well, because her friend saw her using her powers, so that's kind of opened her circle up a little bit as well.
We still don't know. We still don't know if the what do you call them people? The government, basically, the government agencies that's chasing it, damage control. We still don't know whether they're the good guys or the bad guys at this point. We still don't really know.
No.
They want.
There's little kind of hints that kind of sum them up as bad guys. Like obviously the way that they're talking to the guys in the mosque and kind of implying that the guys in the mosque are bad news, and the little things like the lack of respect of removing shoes and stuff like that kind of alludes to them being the bad guys. And I think that it's being written that they're the bad guys or a faction of the kind of bad guys, but they've not shown that in the story, have they? They've not actually out and out said.
I'm going to stick to what I said, which was originally that they're going to use them as the red herring, and then at the end of the whole thing, like Captain Marvel's going to be behind that group of people trying to help her, and they're trying to help her, not hinder her.
Yeah,
and she's on the because obviously she got chased down by drones and stuff because they're trying to find her. I think that's going to play into it. It's like, why did you chase me? It's like, why did you run? I think there's going to be that kind of a moment somewhere.
The drones are a good one as well, because they're the repurposed kind of Stark drones, aren't they?
Yeah.
So that in itself is a little bit.
Damage Controller are a subsidiary of Stark and Shield, aren't they? Isn't that the whole point of them? Aren't they part of Stark and Shield? Or they are in this anyway, in the MCU.
In the MCU. In the MCU, Stark kind of owns them, doesn't he? Or did own them, because he's not around anymore.
Oh no, he did.
It's sorry, spoilers. But you know what? Actually, I was in a conversation. I was in a conversation about 6 months ago with a couple of parents, and we were talking about Marvel, and they kind of know what I do, and so people, you know, when you've got a cat and people all they talk to you about is a cat, like, because people know I do Marvel stuff and that, like, literally it's a case of like, oh, Marvel, Jake, like, let's talk to you about it. And it's like, I do have other hobbies and interests.
I have that for Star Wars all the time.
But they were talking to me about it and whatnot, and then someone was like, one of the mums was like, oh, I was so disappointed by the end of Endgame, because like Tony Stark for me was like, he was the reason I watched the Marvel films, like proper had a crush on him, yada yada yada, and talking, I can't believe that he died, I didn't see that coming, and then I kind of cinematically panned out, and the parent next to her was just going, I was like, you haven't seen it yet, have you? And she's like, no, I was waiting for Disney Plus. I was like, how can you go this far without knowing like one of the biggest spoilers?
But I suppose different worlds, isn't it? I mean, it's impossible for us to avoid it, but I mean, if you really only do watch the occasional one on Disney Plus, I suppose you could probably avoid it if you don't go in groups and stuff like that. I mean, if you're not really on Facebook, because I mean, most of my whenever I get stuff spoiled, it's normally my search engine, obviously, cookies and stuff like that. When I open up like the internet, the news articles along the bottom.
You have to get away from all them adult sites that pop up because of the search history.
This is probably a sad indictment on myself, but my pop-ups are no longer like, want a bigger penis, or look at these tits. It's all just like, hey, do you see what happened in Star Wars? Hey, guess what's happening in this film? Which is probably a sad
buy this
indictment
Star Trek outfit.
Yeah, exactly. How many figures have you got? Like sort of.
I have that thing where, like when you get all entertainment news through to your phone as a notification, I occasionally have to throw my phone across the room because it tries to spoil things for me. Like in the middle of the night, I'd be like, boom, like, did you see the recent episode of Kenobi with Anakin? Like,
yeah,
there's my phone.
Out the window.
I just don't get it though, because I've never heard people praise news articles about spoilers. Like, do you know what I mean? And they come out really quickly after the episodes, and I've never heard anyone go, "Oh, I'm so pleased I had that bit of information." Like most people read them a week or so after to get dig into it, or at least I do. So I don't know who these are benefiting. I don't know who's out there asking for this information immediately.
Because it makes us click it.
Yeah, fair enough.
How many articles did me and you read about Spider-Man prior to it launching? Ryan was like trying to stay out of it, and me and you were messaging each other going, have you read this article? Is this article? How many theories can we find on the internet?
If anyone's listening, everyone's aware, like on a regular basis, we have like a group chat. And the group chat has never been quieter than the build up to Spider-Man, because I was like, no, I'm done with it. I'm fed up with spoilers. I don't want to talk about theories. Everyone will know I got started getting a bit irate about it because I just got bored of talking about freaking Spider-Man and what might happen. It's like, I'm just going to wait and see what happens. So the chat went quiet, and then we do the filming the week later. They're like, yeah, because when I was talking, I was thinking, where's all this conversation? I was like, oh, well, you're getting annoyed. So we would text each other. I was like, all right, fine, whatever. The whole time. Yeah. Schoolgirls gossiping. I was left out. But to be fair, I was glad to be left out. No more.
Speaking of spoilers and reveals, though, like Thor: Love and Thunder comes out in what, 2 weeks, a week and a half?
Yeah.
Now
I'm going to be away when it comes out. I'm going to be so late to it.
But that film had nothing. There was nothing on the internet about that film up until recently, and now it seems like they're putting out a TV spot every day. Like there's a new clip. A new, like, it just pops up on my feeds, and like new TV spot or new extended scene and stuff. Like they've laced together quite a bit of the movie, and they've done like the early screenings and stuff, and I've kind of read a few reviews, and I'm not sure how it's going to land. Like based on some of these reviews, some people are not negative, but just
I don't think it's as funny as people are hoping.
I always take it with a pinch of salt when you get things like Vanity Fair say this film's crap. You're like, Vanity Fair should not be looking at this film whatsoever. Go away, Vanity Fair.
But I've heard a lot of people. I've heard a lot of people say that it's more comedy than they would want. Like it's
they've gone
too much
far
comedy. Yeah. So I heard one person liken it to Hot Shots and Naked Gun. I was like, cool. Like, I was like, I'm down for that. I love that.
I suppose you've got Chris Evans and Chris Pratt and Chris Hemsworth. They're going to play off each other, and they're both comedy actors. They're going to bounce off one another.
Of course.
Waititi. Have you ever seen What We Do in the Shadows?
Yeah. I was going to say, directed by Taika Waititi. That is gonna literally be.
You're gonna have free reign to ad lib. They clearly had free reign to ad lib and stuff with that.
Yeah. Well, supposedly as well, he throws the script away most of the time and just wants people to go with it.
But
I can't wait. I can't wait.
But the problem is you can't win. This is the same thing with Star Wars fans, which I'm sure we'll lightly talk breeze on in Kenobi. But you can't ever please everyone. Like everyone's like, oh, it's not serious enough. Oh, it's too serious. Oh, they're all the same. Oh, this one's too different. It's like there is no pleasing anyone. Like the minute they try and do something really different, people are like, it's too different. Then they do it something like, okay, we'll go back to formula. It's too formulaic. It's too predictable. It's this, it's that. It's people just everyone wants their own personal movie experience. Like that's not how films work.
No. I'm very much a case of, you know what, we live in an age where content is getting made on these properties that I've grown up reading. And unless we're going back to kind of like the old school films where they were really bad, anything they push out is enjoyable to some level or to some extent.
Yeah, I mean, what number of film is this? Is in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Like 20? Are we in the 30s now?
I've literally got all the posters up around my room.
Right, Jake, do a live count. What are we up to?
I'll do a live count. Hang on. Are we talking just movies or just
movies? So
TVs as well. Oh. Hang on, I'm going to mute for this. Carry on.
Right, I'm going to go. Let's see if I can get the answer quicker than Jake counting posters.
I've got it.
Oh, wait, I should have asked our man in the chair, to be fair. I'm sitting there like pretending like I know how to use a phone, but yeah, Ash already got sitting there, got it up. You've probably got a flow chart, pie chart. You've already got graphs. You're going to pull a map out from behind you in a minute. Start pointing to it. Jake's lost in Wonderland.
I think I've got it.
Okay, right, Jake, what's your number?
I think I've got 29.
28.
Ash comes. Oh!
28. Oh,
28 is the. You might have, because obviously Thor: Love and Thunder's not out yet, so it's not officially in the count yet. So 29 would be Thor.
Okay, yeah, no, I've got the post up there.
That doesn't count any of the. Yeah, that only counts the movies. That doesn't count anything that's been on Disney Plus, specials, TV. Jesus. Count everything you're into like late 30s.
I'm just really impressed that I didn't miss any when I was putting posters up. I've also got all the TV shows, just for anyone that can't see, because you can't see on that screen, but I've also got all the TV shows and I've also got my favorite extras. So I've put like Hit Monkey up there, MODOK. I've got the Venom films up there. I've got the Netflix Defenders. I have actually got Morbius up there, not even lying. I put it up there before it came out. I've got Deadpool's, got Blade, Carter, Shield, and then a handful of those special edition posters that you get in the Odeon.
I mean, is Nicolas Cage up there?
No, I didn't put that Ghost Rider up there.
Insulting to Nicolas
I've put the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Ghost Rider series. I've put the poster for that.
Okay, that can be forgiven.
But I haven't put Nicolas Cage's Ghost Rider up there.
I'm so angry.
Do you think that, Sony approached Disney Plus recently? Were like, do you want to add Morbius to the Marvel listings? And they're just like, nah.
But interestingly, they have
you guys seen it
added Spider-Man.
I haven't seen it yet. I still haven't seen it yet. I'm still waiting.
So you haven't seen it? Have you seen it yet?
No. Planning to see it next week.
It's okay. Morbius is okay. Like you're saying, it's not great. And there's some bits where you go like, really? There's some bits you go, oh, that's pretty cool. It's okay.
You know what? My opinion is that it's Jared Leto by Sony in a Spider-Man property without Spider-Man. Like, I don't know what people were expecting. Like, it's kind of, you've only got to look at those three things. And I like Jared Leto, but it's...
If they made this film back in the 90s or late 2000s, whatever it was, when Blade came out, if they'd have made it around the time of Blade 1 and 2, imagine what kind of film we could have gotten. It would have been a straight-up horror fest, like, Vampire the Masquerade style story. But because
people would have gone mad for it.
Because now everything's got to be PG, PC friendly for Disney, and for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, everything's got to be kind of family friendly. Morbius is not a family friendly character by any means.
No.
And yet they still maintain Deadpool was going to be very still.
Deadpool can pull it off because of his third wall breaks. Because he can turn to the camera and genuinely go, "Oh, I'm PG in this one." I bet I can't say beep. Oh, damn it!
It will be very much
disappointed in that though.
No, but it will be a Free Guy. Like, you know how Free Guy was? It will be that in a Deadpool costume. And that'll work. It will work, but it won't be the Deadpool that people have been used to. But
he's convinced it's going to be R-rated still. There was something very recently he even said, like, because he gets asked it all the time, Ryan Reynolds. And he was like, no, it's going to be a proper Deadpool movie. It's going to be R-rated.
Oh,
yeah.
Disney, like you buy everything. Like I said, they bought Star, so you're not, which I didn't realize. Like, as we said before, like in America, they don't have what we have on Disney Plus. You shit, they get like American Dad, and it's like,
well, we've got
like
the Deadpool films are on,
Plus.
But the Deadpool films are on Disney Plus, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
they're for us UK watchers. They're on Disney Plus under the Star banner, but
is there Once Upon a Deadpool one there?
Let's be honest, it's not normally the UK market that kicks off at these things. It's normally the Americans, let's be honest.
Americans normally fine with decapitation. If you show a nipple, though, they lose it.
Stereotypical English. We're just like, oh, very nice, thank you. We're not. It's just
we have the watershed, and we're used to that. Americans don't have such a thing as a watershed. We have that thing where we go, we can put bad films on for this time of night. Children should be in bed. If they see them, it's their fault. In America, it's like, here's Freddy Krueger at 6 a.m. Bam.
Yeah, that's very true. Very true. But yeah, I don't know. You know what? Talk about Ghost Rider. I'm just calling back to Doctor Strange there. I just remembered that it was a big rumor that Ghost Rider was going to be in it, and he wasn't. Not even hinted at.
He was in the credit list. You know, that one that got leaked, and everyone was like, "It looks pretty legit." You know, the cameo.
Oh yeah,
no,
that was
like,
so
ridiculous.
not legit. That was so not legit. But yeah, I'm actually a little bit disappointed that I've just realised that he was supposed to be in it and wasn't. That would have been quite cool. Would have been quite cool.
You're more likely to see him in the new Blade or something. They're setting up for a darker side of Marvel.
This is why I would have wished.
Didn't commit to it.
Yeah, this is why I would have wished they would have waited and let Morbius be part of MCU with sort of Ghost Rider, Blade, Hannibal King. Let them have those darker, evil, villainish, rogue characters.
Yeah, because the end bit of Morbius with the whole Vulture thing, it is so nonsensical. It is weird. It's almost like someone was like, guys, Michael Keaton's just turned up to the studio. Is he in this? And they were like, it's Michael. We can't send Michael Keaton home. Like, we've got to think of something. He's like, Jared, don't take the fucking makeup off. Keep the makeup on. Come on, we'll just get in the car. We're in a desert. Fine. Just don't worry. We'll write the script later. Just get in the car. And then they film it, and they're like, yeah, it's the after credits scene. And because even Michael Keaton looks confused why he's in it.
Why did I picture when you said about Jared Leto? Why did I picture him turning around and sort of having a rat in his mouth, like, huh? Yeah. Like, oh, sorry. You know, he's not Jared right now. Morbius, yes.
One and the same, the weirdo. He's a odd character. I mean, just the problem is he's one of those actors I think is a bit of a knob, but supposedly gets away with a lot of stuff because he goes like about method acting, getting into the character. Like, or are you just being a bit of a helmet?
Yeah, it's when it was the stories that Will Smith and
when
Margot Robbie told about the things he sent them to their like trailers and stuff like that. Is creepy.
Just weird. Like, that's not getting into character. That's just being an idiot. Like acting. When people go like, acting's all about this. Acting's about portraying someone. It doesn't mean like going absolutely psycho and like sending dead rats and bottles of urine to people. Like that's. Thing is, if you did that normally, you would definitely get a visit from the police.
Oh yeah, definitely 100%.
If I was just like, do you know what? It's Monday. I've had a few. I'm a bit bored. I'll chuck some piss in the post and see where it goes to. I would definitely be having a knock at the door. Jared Leto does it, and they're like, "Oh, he's so quirky, getting into character like that." Madness.
Sorry, had a phone call that I couldn't get away from.
I was just ranting about Jared Leto.
We were just laughing at Jared Leto.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you hit the nail on the head there a minute ago when you said that if it had come out when Blade came out, it would have been an absolute banger, and people would have gone mad for it.
Say about me about the piss thing then, but yeah, okay.
I don't think I heard that bit.
At that time, remember, vampires were like becoming another big, like, becoming a thing again. Like we had that Vampire Los Muertos and things like that. We had all these really cool vampire movies.
I know.
There was one with John Bon. No, I don't mean that. I mean like John Bon Jovi's one. There was that one with John Bon Jovi. There was like loads of like dark vampire films.
I know, Twilight.
Not sparkly Twilight rubbish.
Hey, I can walk in the
sun like a thunkery man.
I'm gonna say it. I really enjoyed them. I'm gonna hands up. It's my preteen daughter. But the first one is boring. The first one is a proper girly kind of love story, and it just wasn't vampires. But the later on they get, the better it gets for the big werewolf action and the fight scenes, and they're bearable. They're bearable. You know what?
To annoy Ash, I have to confess, I'm all right with them as well. And actually, I quite like the first one for the romancy bit.
I can stop a car.
Yeah, like
don't look at me in the sun.
I am very sappy.
Sparkly.
Run up a tree and kiss me. No.
Watching
It's
like
just...
TV and stuff, and there'll be something emotional, and then like my wife will be just watching it, just enjoying it, and then she'll turn to me, and I'm like, and she's like, "You're right." I'm like, "It's just really sad, He hasn't seen his daughter for years." Like, yeah, it's inconvenient. And I'm like, "Yeah."
Oh, you're crying. I just thought you really liked Taylor Lautner for a second, then.
To be fair, after the first one, he got a lot easier in the eyes.
Yeah.
No, the thing is, the best thing about those films is the soundtracks.
Yeah. No, I do. Back to your point, though, there was a lot of vampire stuff going on, and I even liked Blade Trinity. I'm not gonna lie, I even liked it. It was fun.
Triple H from WWE.
Oh, Triple H,
dogs.
and it's what's her name as well, Jessica Biel.
Jessica Biel, yeah.
Jessica Biel, isn't it? And do you know that there's a bit in that as well where she actually shot an arrow into a camera? Have you heard?
Yeah, she genuinely did it.
Yeah.
Camera. Yeah.
And it was like a tiny, like, mate, that doesn't make it good. There's still one of the best scenes in that where she's dressed up as the old woman holding a baby, or the woman in the hood, and the vampires come down, and then the cloak comes off, and it's like, mate, it was good. And that was Ryan Reynolds kind of at his birthing kind of stage when you see the quips, and if you go back and watch that now, you're like, that guy is going to grow up to be Deadpool. Let's be honest.
That was the start of Deadpool, really, wasn't it? The character,
the bridge between Van Wilder, like from going like I'm doing comedies to going I can do action comedies, but still comedy.
Yeah.
Films like as a kid I say kid growing up, as a teen growing up, late teen. For me, films like the Blade series, like Van Helsing, The Mummy, Underworld, Hellboy, those sort of like dark alternate fantasies, but they're not too dark, but they're like quite action orientated. I enjoyed those kind of films. They were like my bread and butter movies growing up.
Underworld was wicked. Underworld series was brilliant. I really enjoyed them, but I don't know if they aged very well because I haven't watched them. Recently.
I think they're onto like
whole set on for like, I'm not even joking, I think it was £1 in a charity shop. So I bought them. I was like, I'll get around to watching them again at some point. But I thought for like £2 or £3, I think it was, for the whole box of all of them. I was like, probably worth it. I remember them being good, but I probably won't say that after I watch them.
It was just fun to go back and watch
Matrix, wasn't it? Matrix meets vampires.
It was just fun to go back and I know it's awful to be saying it out loud, but to go back and just laugh at Bill Nye doing his little ticks. Every 2 seconds.
I'm gonna have to. I'm just building a watch list now. Just building a watch list.
Obviously, as a kid growing up, I didn't realize that was like a condition that he has, where he makes that noise, and that's like him. They always build it into his characters and stuff.
Well,
but
I thought it was
as well. His hands don't go flat.
His hands are like weird. But it was just I was assumed that was just a character choice in Underworld, where he sort of goes, and then like Celine just stops talking. Like I think it freaked her out.
Yeah. I did as well. It was only reading an article later on in life, and I was like, oh wow, like that was some like very cleverly worked in sort of scripting and stuff. But yeah. Anyway, let's move on from Marvel, because we could go down a rabbit hole of Marvel stuff. Overall, Miss Marvel was okay. I'm looking forward to episode 4. I'm enjoying the story. I think it's exciting. Yeah.
How many
let's talk about 6.
Okay. So we
6 in everything. Yeah, 6. It seems to be the magic number. 6 episodes. And then obviously once that finishes, we've got She-Hulk. But we have got Disney Plus Day, haven't we got coming up
in September.
Very soon.
Along with the D23. It's like their San Diego Comic-Con kind of thing for Disney. We'll get all the announcements from like Marvel, Star Wars, Henson, any of their things. Pixar will put a load of films out.
Is there ever not a day now?
Mate, there are two marks in the calendar, 3 at a push that I really look forward to, and that's the kind of San Diego Comic-Con kind of period, and the last couple of years where it was very disjointed because everyone was doing their own stuff. But the San Diego Comic-Con kind of period is always a lot of fun. The Disney Plus, the Disney Day, the D23, whatever it is that they want to call it, that's very fun because of the properties that they own. And then there's a little part of me that also quite likes MCM in October, just because it's fun to go down there. Yeah, but yeah. So let's talk Kenobi. Kenobi. Yeah. Did you see that somebody put them both together? That Obi Wan Kenobi. Somebody spliced those 2 clips together. Overall, final episode out of 5. What would you give it?
Best episode so far, 5. Straight up.
5.
Yeah, I'd say 5 as well. I
think they could have. I know they wanted to make so many episodes. For me, they could have cut some of the episodes down. To me, there was 3 episodes in the whole program that were the story. The other three were just filler, to be honest.
And I think that's where the negative reviews of it is coming, where people are kind of saying that there's that element of it. But
because me and Dad looked at it. I was talking to my dad about it, and he said the same thing. Because if you look at the 3 episodes, that would have made just short of 2.5 hours. That's a movie.
Yeah.
Everything else after that, it was kind of filler content, like the whole thing about going and meeting the fake Jedi and, you know, all the little cameo Easter egg stuff. Well, it's fan service. It wasn't needed really at this point.
No.
Everyone just wanted. Yeah, we got like this the little what do you call him, the clone trooper on the streets, which was obviously, you know, Tamara Morrison was playing him, and we had little things like that built into it. Obviously, we got Leia Organa's father in it again. What do you call him? He came back for the role.
Bail Organa, but I mean, he's quite central to like the whole like setting up the rebellion. I do get it, and I get what people are saying, but at the same time, it's like, but that's kind of the point. The good thing about a series is that you can world build. You have this free space, the breathing space to go. Let's watch the story. Let's take them around the world. Let's see a bit more of the world. Let's meet some characters. Let's see. You know, when you have more time like that, actually, we got to see some really interesting points of like kind of relationship building between like Leia and Obi Wan, and like seeing like Leia grow as a character on her own, seeing that hardship she faced on her own before everyone rescued her, seeing like the Imperial officer who had, let's be honest, it was almost a better version of the Finn storyline that they could have done, but you know they rushed that kind of thing. You know, actually having an Imperial officer, you know, seeing like that kind of the whole thing with like the Inquisitors, seeing that there's a power struggle in the Inquisitors, and you know flipping that on its head into different ways. You know, and I think if we had a movie, you wouldn't have got hardly any of that. And I think it would have made a good movie, but actually, I think it's a bit like having the Clone Wars series. You know, you could have just made that like each season could have been a TV special rather than having a whole series. And it's similar kind of thing.
Yeah.
You expand the world, you expand the visuals. You know, you think about the amount of things that we've seen in the backgrounds that we've talked about in each of these episodes. That's what we talk about as much as the actual main story. And that's the thing about Star Wars. Like, you know, you say about like Galaxy's Edge and how much you get excited about the stuff from like the Halperion tour and stuff like that. But yeah, that is all because of background stuff. All these background bits that don't mean anything are what's created this thing that we now consider almost, you know, that's the difference between making a film and making a universe.
And,
I
agree.
Step down from my speech podium now and
I'm really pleased that they did a big arc for Leia. That was one of the most enjoyable parts for me, and just kind of really giving kind of sort of filler to that character and a backstory to that character. But then we then haven't had that for Luke. Like, I'd also like to now see that for Luke, although it'd be kind of 6 episodes of him just playing in the sand. But I would just, you know.
Well, there has been talk, haven't they? They've said they are open to a second series of Kenobi.
I've got a really good idea though for a second series, but I'll get to that in a minute.
But I was gonna say, I would honestly, I like the ending where we saw him disappearing off with Neeson, and I liked that ending. I don't want them to mess with that now. If they continued the story, which I'd like to see them continue, but I'd like to see it from Vader and the Inquisitor's perspective, not Kenobi's.
Yeah.
And have Kenobi come back. You know, like Mandalorian came back in Boba Fett. Almost do that with Kenobi. So you could have a Vader series, then have Ewan McGregor turn up towards the mid part of the series and have some time gap fillers where you could see those episodes with Luke and stuff. You know, a bit like Mandalorian turning up with Grogu randomly in Boba Fett and then saving the day. It's that kind of thing. They could do that again.
I know a previously unwanted figure from the episode 1 line that will now be wanted. It's a holographic Qui-Gon Jinn that was available with like this little projector thing. Did one of him, one of Darth Maul. It's funny. I got them years ago because I like the transparent figures. I always think they're cool since I had the Power of the Force ones when I was a kid. And so I got that probably about a year ago for really cheap. And I looked online and I was like, I'm so glad I got that.
I'm not sure if I've got the Qui-Gon one. I've got Dooku, I've got Maul, and Obi Wan. I don't think I've got the Qui-Gon.
It comes with like, you know, the Jedi communicators that they use.
Yeah,
little wings. It's one of those, but it's a big one and it lights up. They did Maul and Qui-Gon, and in prototype stage they did Amidala and Newt Gunnery and Obi-Wan, but those 3 never got made in the end. And again, I know so much useless information about it. Brilliant. But yeah, I think that was a nice way to end it, because there were so many times where you got like baited into thinking that Qui-Gon was coming and you were waiting for the voice or something, and it's like, no.
Was it new
I'm getting
footage?
crushed by rocks. Oh, yeah, it was new footage.
It was definitely new footage of him, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought he was going to come at that point where he was underneath all the rocks. I must admit, but then all I was thinking is, if he comes now, this is too much like Spider-Man. This is too much like Spider-Man here. So I am kind of glad that we got that.
I like the fact that they kind of went down that road of he wasn't ready to accept, like, hear him. Like, he was always there with him. He's always been there, watching over him. He wasn't able to perceive him. I like that concept of he's now gotten to a level where he's let go of the past with Anakin. He's looking to the future, so he can accept the Force and all the ghosty stuff. Which I like that. He's let go of attachment, basically, isn't it? That's the whole Jedi thing. It's letting go of attachment. Now he can see his old master again.
I really like the story of the Obi-Wan went through as well. Like, if you go back and you watch the episode, you really do see the kind of transition he goes through from being broken to being a Jedi again. And I think that kind of going back to Ryan's point is that you needed that length of time, even though there are filler episodes. Even if you watch the filler episodes just to see where he is in his journey, it's there's detail in that. And I think that if it was a movie, people would have gone, well, how's he gone from this part to that? How's he gone from being here to being here in 2 scenes? Like, and
Hercules, zero to hero.
It is. It's that kind of, yes, it's a filler episode, and yes, it's harder to watch or it's longer to watch, but the journey, it's more of a real-time journey especially in this. It was so important to see that redevelopment of the character. The fight scene, though, we've got to talk about the fight scene. Now, that fight scene, that was why I was disappointed of the fight scene in the first, what was it, episode 2 that we saw him first go off? Was it 3?
We needed episode 3,
Kenobi versus Vader.
Yeah. We needed that. We needed that first one though, where he failed. We needed the fail because that's because he's not connected to the Force yet. And if you had an old man that's not touched a saber in over 10 years suddenly kick Vader's ass, it would have been far too
I completely agree. I think that the sort of child element of me was kind of like, when I see these two go head to head again, I want it to be that episode 6 style, like that, just everything that we were expecting it to. So I think the disappointment in what happened in 3 for me, even though looking back in retrospect I really enjoyed it, made episode 6's fight even better, just because it was brutal. Let's be honest, it was a really brutal fight. I loved the high ground, like nod to the high ground. I really thought he was going to say, like, I have the high ground now, and I was like, please don't say it, please don't say it.
I do like the fact that they let Vader and like go at him, but he couldn't win him in a fair fight. He couldn't win him in a straight duel. No. He had to shatter the ground. He had to use rocks. He had to use the Force to beat Obi-Wan. He still couldn't duel him to the end.
No,
which I think is a very cool nod to his character and the fact that he is Darth Vader now. He's not Anakin anymore. With like he's no longer got that sort of like.
The split in the helmet and the split between the voices was poetic to me. Yeah. And that speech, the whole "I'm sorry" and you didn't fail me, or what was the line, like, I wasn't your failure or something like that. Like, I killed Anakin, like that. Just I'm not crying, you're crying. It was like a proper.
Yeah, the bit where you hear Hayden's voice mixed in every now and again with James Earl Jones as well, sort of in there. And they did that whole thing of, where he says that line, doesn't he? Where he says, you didn't kill Anakin, I did. And he had that grin. You just saw that grin come at one side of his face. Like, that is so evil.
I loved that point you made in our conversation, though, Ash, about like the
masks.
Yeah, the masks with the Ahsoka bit. So I'll let you explain, because it's a really good point. It's worth bringing up again.
It's so poetic. So, like, in the fight with Kenobi, he loses the left side of the mask, that shattered side. When he fights Ahsoka, it's the opposite side of the mask. So, like, the kind of, like, people saying online, it took Luke Skywalker to fully reveal Luke, to, like, fully take the mask off, to get rid of the helmet and bring him back. Like, Obi-Wan tried and couldn't do it, only brought half of him back, say. And it's the same with, like, with Ahsoka. There were only part of him, because Luke is his son. He was able to bring him back, remove the helmet,
Master, apprentice.
Yeah. But I just love that. It was just the fact that it was the opposite side of the mask. They didn't go for the same side again. It was an opposite side. That was cool.
I think as well, like someone made a really good point about A New Hope. Now that this thing, when you see the things, it's a bit like if you watch Rogue One and A New Hope back to back, like it changes the beginning of the film. And like similar with this, because someone made the really good point. When Ben is in that duel and just before he lets Darth sort of destroy him, he looks across and the last thing Ben sees is that Luke and Leia are reunited finally.
Yeah.
That's the last thing he sees is actually that Luke and Leia are together in the Death Star going across the hallway.
Oh yeah.
So when you think about it, it's like everything he's been through. I think the last thing he sees, that's when he knows his job is done because they're reunited.
Yeah,
and then he puts the saber up and he lets Vader because he's done what he needs to do. He's made, they're together.
That bit always really confused me. I'm not gonna lie. Like as a Star Wars fan, that's one bit of the whole films and series and stuff that I could never get my head around. Like the way that he just disappears. Yeah. Like it's just. Yeah, I know, but you don't see that any other time with any other character.
You do. Yoda,
and also Luke Skywalker in controversially in Last Jedi.
Oh yeah, of course you do. Yeah, maybe it just jarred with me so much. I just kind of see it as a real. But have you seen the reimagined kind of?
Yes, scene 20, scene 38, whatever it is. It's so good. Part of me is like, as much as I love the original, part of me is like, if you are going to do like the special Ultra Omega unreleased Mega Edition, which George Lucas is probably going like, I'm not working on because I don't work for Disney, and then they bring him back just to do it. And this time Ewoks have gills as well. But they, if they added that in, I'd be like, oh, okay. Because actually, it's really well done. I mean,
I just think it really
so different from the rest of the film, but
as a bigger property, it would kind of bring it up to speed. Because one of the things that I found hard watching the original trilogy with my children was the change in pace when it comes to lightsaber fights and stuff, because of the controversially, because of the way that 4, 5 and 6 are, I watched them in chronological order of like episode 1, episode 2, so that they could follow the story of the characters. And by the time we got to episode 4, I was kind of like, the lightsaber fights are really toned down. It's okay because you kind of followed the story arc, but yeah.
Headcanon, again, it's headcanon. It's not real. But my interpretation of that was always that when back in the days of like the old Republic, because they were in like the games, like the light speeds, like you could jump ridiculously high and things like that you don't seem to see in the films. And like I always saw it as like, the further down the timeline we get, the less Jedi there are, so the Force is becoming weaker almost.
Yeah.
Like there's less Jedi using the Force, so the lightsabers are getting heavier. It's not as because they're not. And plus, let's not forget, Vader and Obi Wan are the last two to actually from the old guard. Luke has not been trained by anyone to use a lightsaber, so his style of using lightsaber is unique anyway. He's not really been trained by anyone.
He doesn't even have a saber anymore.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. No, I do agree.
You can pretend to be wrong. Stick, being like, I'll make the noises.
It's not enough for me to kind of completely switch off. But when I saw that, I was kind of like, "This is cool. This is very cool." And it does kind of work.
After you watch the run of films, and then you get to episode 4, and it's two old men poking each other's sticks.
Yes,
I think it goes from that's like
it really is
fencing,
and then he does this at the end, and it's kind of like, "Oh, he's gonna get him." It's just like, but yeah, I love Star Wars. Don't come at me, Star Wars fans.
Did anyone notice that one of the reasons he beat Anakin as well is because he changed his style of stance as well midway through the fight?
Yeah,
so good.
Yeah,
he changed his fight style midway through.
All right then. So controversially, do you think this lightsaber fight, Obi-Wan versus Darth Vader in Kenobi, or Obi-Wan versus Maul in it's not Clone Wars, is it? It's Rebels. Is it Rebels? Yeah. Rebels. Which one was the better lightsaber?
Kenobi.
Rematch.
Kenobi versus Vader, because like as good as the Maul one was, it was so short.
The Maul one was more poetic. It was more.
It was artistically done. It was like to symbolize the end of a. They're both old and tired. This one was more based around rage. That's the difference. One was rage, and one was almost balance. It's kind of hard to Yeah.
And people always forget as well, if you watch Clone Wars, Obi Wan Kenobi and Maul fought a lot in that as well, a lot more energetically than they do in Rebels. The whole point of Rebels was Maul had been walking through the desert for days trying to get to him. He was knackered, dehydrated, and dying. He basically dies in Obi-Wan's arms. It's just I like that ending though. That's a very poetic, and the fact they just changed to Qui-Gon's stance and takes him out with Qui-Gon's stance. So good.
I just think it's such a poetic, like you say, it's such a poetic lightsaber fight. It's not the most energetic. It's not the most exciting out of all of the ones that we've seen the two go head to head, but it's my favorite. You know, bar the original one with Qui-Gon and young Ewan McGregor, it's my favorite one against Maul. So I don't know, it's still up there for me as one of my favorite lightsaber duels. But this has definitely introduced itself into that top 5 without a doubt.
Yeah, my favorite duel is always Count Dooku versus Anakin and Obi-Wan, episode 2. I've always loved it. It got a bit. I don't like the ending bit with Yoda, but I like the the whole fight because it just turns silly, doesn't it? Yeah, it just gets silly. It comes crippling in like he can barely move. It's like no.
Mine's actually a tie between the.
Hold on, I'll be 2 seconds.
Jay doesn't want to hear what I got to say. Mine is a tie between the Battle of the Heroes, which is like the episode 3 one, because I really enjoyed that. But and also my actual favorite, I think probably just a smidge more than that, is actually the Luke Vader one in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah,
because it's just so rageful, and then Luke gets so close to the dark side when Vader's already beaten on the floor, and Luke's just like. He's basically, if it was like, in a pub in Slough, he'd be like, I'm beating the shit out of you. Like, he just goes absolutely nuts with it. And then it's just like, he comes this close to the dark side. And it's like such a cool thing to see. And then he's like, then he brings it back and then chucks his lightsaber away, which is still a stupid thing to do to this day. He says to the Emperor, I'll never join you, but still keep your lightsaber, Luke, because that will still come out. And also, they're not laying about, mate. You're not going to get another one easily. Like, you're going to need, if you're going to train the next generation of Jedi, probably keep that about. So but that's why I think it's my favorite, because it also with the music. And also I think it's when I was a kid, that was like the most dramatic sort laser sword or any kind of sword fight I'd seen. Like that was just so, with the music as well, it's huge. No one ever talks about the music from like the original trilogy, like from Return of the Jedi, as much anymore. They're so focused on hearing it saying like, oh, yub got cut. Like, but what about the dual music? The dual music, or like the Emperor's theme, that
What? Why did Yub Nub get cut? Because it is one of the best songs from the soundtrack, in my opinion. I love that Yub Nub song.
Do you know what's really funny? I didn't know it existed. I only really knew it existed probably about 3 or 4 years ago. Because obviously, I was born in 1990. I saw them in the cinema. I had them taped off the TV, but very quickly after I started getting into Star Wars, they came out in the cinema again, 97. So I got taken to cinema to go see the special editions. And that was already cut by that point. And then the video, the VHS we had was of the special editions. So I didn't know Yub Yub really existed until someone was like, that was what I grew up with. So when people say about like the changes for those 97 special editions, but I didn't know any different. I never really watched the original Star Wars. And I don't think I've ever still seen actual original Star Wars trilogy. Like as in any of the changes.
For me, Yub Nub, I've always known about it because they use it in the Disney parks in the area where Star Tours is, because it's meant to look like the Ewok village bit. They're always playing that little song. They're always playing it, and in at Celebration, every time they cut away to the crowd and stuff, they always put either that Yub Nub song on or the Celebration song from episode 1. It's either or them two, because they're like fanfare music style sort of stuff.
Brilliant. I want to put the original Jedi Rocks on maybe next time they cut away.
So what did I miss? Did I miss anything exciting there?
Just what my choices for the duels were, but obviously you didn't care. So
no, I'll find out when we put the podcast out.
I'm disappointed in you.
The only other silly bit, the only other silly bit other than Yoda actually is when the Emperor goes from a prone position to a wee turtle whirl in about 4 seconds. How does anyone stretch that far?
There are some funny ones. There was Ewan McGregor was talking. Ewan McGregor was talking in one of the interviews about the original films, and talking about how like Yoda was still a puppet. And have you seen that interview where he says, and they would say cut, and he would just kind of flop down? It's just madness. But no, I really liked it. The only disappointment I think I've got from the Kenobi series is the hype of Hayden Christensen coming back. You didn't really see him. Like it wasn't a huge amount of
Could have done with a
screen
couple more
time.
flashbacks.
This is why I don't think they're done with him. They've not brought these two back just for a one-off. They just haven't. There's no way that there's good. I think they've brought you, especially because they didn't really use Christensen in this. I think he's been, instead of hiring some randomer like Spencer Wildling to play Vader, anytime they need Vader in a suit now, they're going to call Hayden. He's kind of been brought back into the fold, hasn't he? He's kind of been brought back into Star Wars now. And if they suddenly put another stuntman in the suit instead of Hayden, people will comment on it.
I would like to think that we're going to see him in Ahsoka. That would be cool. But I think
we're going to get some flashbacks maybe, and him in the Clone Wars armor type thing.
Yeah.
That would be a cool
that
thing
would be really cool.
Finally, in a live action version of that suit.
But they're bringing in so many elements of Rebels. I think that's the angle they're going with that.
We're getting live action Chopper. We're getting Sabine in that, and Hera have all been confirmed for it.
Yeah.
Oh, do you know what would be really awesome? Remember in Rebels, Ezra finds the training thing of Anakin doing the thing. It'd be cool if they
the live action one.
Yeah, if they just recreated the live action hologram, just exactly the same, but it's the live action, obviously, Hayden doing the
that'd be pretty cool. So do you honestly think there'll be a second series of Kenobi?
Yeah.
Not of Kenobi, but I think they'll continue it with something. A bit like how they did Mandalorian and Book of Boba. I think we'll get a spin-off continuing on the timeline. Because they built up Reva, and they didn't really tell us whether she lives or dies, really.
No.
They kind of left it of, you're free now, but she was like bleeding out and dying.
I think that if they're going to do it, what they should do is they should maybe, I don't know, maybe jump forward a couple of years. Did
you see some of the news articles that are coming out, though? Sorry to cut you off. Did you see some of the news articles from this week and what is like rumored to be going on now? So the kid that plays Cal Kestis, obviously everyone was gutted that he didn't appear in this.
Oh,
yes, I did see it.
He's kind of said, I would love to be in live action. And they've kind of said, well, we'd love to have you in live action. And it's kind of like Disney have made the nod of, we could do something. And then Sam Witwer come out, didn't he, straight away afterwards and said, actually, if you ever want to bring, the story of Starkiller, he would love to try and make that a reality. Which I've said before, they could. Awesome. He would just be the first Inquisitor. And they just scrap the original story, but keep the idea of the character and just give him a new storyline with Sam Witwer doing the live action version.
Yeah. Has the Grand Inquisitor got like a background story in?
No, there's not really fleshed them out. We know the Grand Inquisitor was a Jedi that fell during. He was a Temple Guard, wasn't he? That fell during Order 66 and joined the dark side and became the Grand Inquisitor.
Oh, actually, if I remember correctly, because the canon comic, if Joe Castu knew. Reveals that he was basically because he was the Jedi denied him the knowledge because he wasn't a level of martial and he was a seeker of knowledge. So he goes back in the temple, and that's how Jocasta Nu actually gets caught by Vader in the end, and how Commander Fox dies. But it's because he is basically obsessed with the knowledge that was robbed from him. He thinks that was kept from him, and he thought he had a right to, and that's why he turned on the Jedi. Starkiller would be a very cool backstory, but they would have to be careful not to cross any streams with other stuff that's already out there.
Well, the thing is, because of how it would work, because all we know is that the fifth brother and the ninth sister, they both die in Rebels anyway. So as long as they survive through the whole program, it doesn't matter. There's no story of where they come from. They never really touched on it,
though, wasn't it?
Was it a different? Yeah, eighth, ninth, wherever.
Yeah, but the sister that we see in who the only one who didn't get a retro figure, weirdly, she's not the same one from Rebels that's with the fifth brother. No,
that's Buffy, isn't it? The Vampire Slayer woman.
No, it's not her. That's the thing. It's a different Inquisitor from the Buffy.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's not that.
Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Yeah,
they're different. Should we use her real name?
Well, also, what's just happened where Jake's corrected us on a name? Something's gone really wrong.
Sarah Michelle Gellar, mate.
Other than Reva,
when I went off, I've not come back yet. This is multiverse Jake.
Other Jake.
The only Inquisitor we know the full backstory of, like you say, is Grand Inquisitor and Reva. Really, the rest of them you could do what you wanted with those characters.
What about
if they brought back Sam Witwer as the first Inquisitor, or have him as one of the first proteges of Darth Vader, or whatever, like the start of that project? Then they wouldn't even need to include the others because they'd be kids. They'd be Order 66 children.
Yeah, but what if they stick to the story of the games to an extent, and he goes down the idea of the secret apprentice, and it doesn't work out, and therefore that births the idea of the Inquisitors?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how that would work timescale wise, but
they could even twist it on its head, not even use Vader. We could have a timeline of where that kid is taken not by Vader in that beginning scene of the game, but by Maul, and just fill Maul's timeline in prior to Rebels, after Clone Wars, before Rebels. What was he doing? He was training Starkiller to go kill Darth Vader to take revenge.
That would be cool.
That would be a kick-ass storyline.
That would be very cool. That would be cool.
That wouldn't cross with anything then. They've not touched on Maul for a long time, and they need to fill that timeline in. And you can, Sam Witwer was the voice of Maul, so it would just make sense to have him do it. Well, he's there.
Yeah. Starkiller for me was just such a cool character. Like there was just saying it was at the stage where new Star Wars property was just kind of few and far between, and they just kind of gave us this really cool character, and I was so disappointed when they were like, yeah, it's not canon, like we're just kind of scrapping it. One thing that did annoy me about Kenobi though is that they didn't really explain how the Grand Inquisitor did or didn't die, because in that episode we see her put a lightsaber through him.
It's amazing what your rage can, it says about that.
I thought he was directing that at her, but
he was, but like obviously I would also say that it kind of ties in with Maul though. That was what kept him alive when he got cut in half, was the rage. We see that in Clone Wars, and that's sort of exactly what the Grand Inquisitor says.
Yeah, but he doesn't come back all angry. He comes back just as the Grand Inquisitor. It's almost just like
because of Vader's plan. That's what he says. Vader saw it coming, and therefore he made Reva the Grand Inquisitor and kept Grand Inquisitor in the dark.
Yeah, that was obviously the idea, but it was kind of like I get the idea that they planned out, but she put a lightsaber through that guy. Like that's a fact. Unless there's a different scene where you see it and he's like kind of skimmed out the way and she's put it under his arm or something. But it's that was the only bit that kind of, because he didn't even come back like damaged. It was kind of like, hello.
I just can't take his voice seriously. It's like he's trying to do the voice from Rebels, but failing miserably. He's just like doing his really posh British voice. I know it was, but it's the way he says it when he goes like, "Revenge does wonders for the will to live." It's like, what was that?
He's like bad cosplay. I did like the fact that we did see Grand Inquisitor and Vader kind of disagree at that point, because there is stuff in the comic books, isn't there, about them kind of going head to head and stuff, and I did like that we kind of saw a little glimpse of that. What the whole thing about Ice Cube is massive as well. That Google, what was it you said happened?
So during apparently when they put it onto Google, like IMDb, and that uploaded all the data, whatever, because people are O'Shea Jackson, because he shares the same surname as his father and stuff. For some reason, Google auto-filled Ice Cube's name in the cast list. So in the cast list, it said O'Shea Jackson Jr., then Ice Cube with an uncredited role. He's just there for no reason.
What I do love most about that, though, is it's basically saying "soz autocorrect."
Basically,
so I've just double
nobody corrected it.
No, but I've done Ash's man in the chair job. So the Inquisitor female in the series, Kenobi, was the fourth sister.
Yeah.
From Rebels, which is voiced by Sarah Michelle Gellar, is the seventh sister.
Seventh sister, yeah. The one from the video game with Cal is the eighth sister, isn't it? Or is that the ninth sister?
No, ninth sister is the big one. Second sister is the human one.
That's the one, right? Yeah. Oh yeah, the really big
and a yellow partridge in a pear tree.
In the comic books and stuff, does it explain why they're all called sisters and brothers and stuff?
Because
I've not read that. I've not read the run where the Inquisitors are in it. They're from like the 2014 run, I think, of Darth Vader comics. It was never a run I read. I've started reading from the relaunch, which is set between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. I'm in that era. So I'm a bit past that now.
I've just finished reading those Darth Vader ones, actually, with the Inquisitors.
All right.
There isn't a huge amount of history other than, like, they were set up to be, basically using Jedi as weapons against them, using the rage-filled people who were forced into trains, but also as a way of keeping Vader on his toes, to make sure Vader's always trying to prove himself to be the best. so that he's always got a competition against him, sort of thing.
Was Anakin just annoyed that he didn't have any siblings, and so he just called them all
no,
brothers
they
and sisters?
They don't call that. But I guess it's like a brotherhood thing, isn't it? You know, brotherhood and sisterhood of evil. I guess it's similar, like, you know, brother blood and the brotherhood of evil.
I think Anakin Skywalker, Darth Vader, had just watched Fast and Furious 10 and just was like, I really like this family element. I'm gonna put this family element. If anyone that is listening does know, then do reach out, like why they're called brothers and
we
sisters.
may be numbered brothers and sisters, but we're one family.
I'd love to know.
That's the tagline.
Wherever you are in the galaxy, you'll always be family.
Except if you're Dwayne Johnson, then apparently you hate me now. I'm sorry.
So my idea for the second series. So let's jump forward a little bit in time, and you know, Leia's a little bit older, Obi-Wan's a little bit older, etc., etc. You'd have to have a time jump,
teenage phase.
Yeah. You jump forward a little bit in time, and she needs help from Obi-Wan again. So she kind of reaches out to him to ask for help, but then at the same time, he's made contact with Luke, and Luke's a little bit older, and so he decides to train Luke in the ways of the Jedi. And you know, things happen and whatnot, and then you kind of throw in, I don't know, like some new characters, like I don't know, like a bounty hunter or something like that, and he's kind of sidekick, and then they all kind of like come together, and we see Darth Vader and Obi-Wan face off again towards the end. I
think if there is a second season, I quite like the idea, but I think there is a second
season.
Mate,
I just outlined the New Hope, and neither of you like picked up on it.
No, because I have heard that, but then you can technically. I read that meme as well when someone done that, like as the idea for the sequel. It was going around the idea for the sequel series of Obi-Wan, and it's the explanation of A New Hope.
Is it a meme? Oh man, I thought it was really original.
No, that's why I didn't laugh, because I've already read it. I thought you were just reading the meme.
Oh man, I thought I was being really original there. Like it's like putting a second.
No, there's an actual meme going around, going like, "Oh, do you know next time they meet, it could be," and it just explains.
A New Hope, yeah, that's why. I just found it really ridiculous when people were saying, like, "Oh, there will be a second series," and I'm like, "No, a second series is essentially A New Hope. Like this is the bridge. Like we could have spin-offs, like Sorrell said, but a second series essentially would be A New Hope."
I think there will be a second series, but I just think it will have nothing to do with Luke or Leia. Really, I think it will be. I actually think you're more likely to see Quinlan Vos.
Yeah, I think that would be cool. I
actually think it will be a Kenobi thing, but I think it will be about Kenobi's choice to either stick with his duty of guarding Luke or going off and trying to restart the Jedi Order. I think that's what, if there is a second series, and there could only really be 2 at tops, because like you said, you couldn't do it up until like thing. But I think if they did do it, maybe it would be like, just like I said, a separate story. Like it would be Quinlan Vos comes back with a big plan, and Obi-Wan's big conflict is whether, and he'll have a conflict with Qui-Gon, and it will be about whether actually, you know, do I stay with my duty and watch over the boy, even though I've accepted that I'm not going to train him, because that's his whole thing he says to Owen at the end, isn't it? You know, going to let him just be a boy, and it'll be his conflict between, do I stay and watch over the boy, or do I go and try and start the Jedi Order with Quinlan? Also,
the series
I have a lightsaber now, but this pen is mightier than the sword.
The series didn't end though in a way that convinces me that version of Obi-Wan Kenobi ends up as an old man in the cave.
That's
you know
exactly
what I mean?
He says, funny enough, he said in an interview, he was like, "Thing is, I'm not Alec Guinness yet."
Yeah, but the age gap, like Alec Guinness in A New Hope and Ewan McGregor in Kenobi, they're about the same age, aren't they? There's not much difference in the actual age of the actors.
So I did this math the other day for my friends. So basically, Alec McGuinness, I keep calling him McGuinness, and I don't know why. Alec Guinness. I did that in my video the other day, and I've been ripped apart in my comments for it.
By McDonald's.
Alec Guinness was 61 when he first played Obi-Wan Kenobi.
What's Ewan McGregor? He's got to be late 50s, surely.
Yeah, so Ewan McGregor is currently, pull over that, 51 years old. So there is still about a 10-year gap, which makes sense because they said in that series, this is 5 years after the great, 10 years after the Great Jedi Purge.
And it's like,
so there's still, Luke's 18, isn't he? Luke's 18 when he meets him. Is he meant to be 18 or is he meant to be younger?
I think he's meant to be like 18. I think it's 18.
Yeah, about 18, and he's just of age kind of thing. And so we're still talking a few years to go until he gets to McGuinness.
And
Guinness.
You know, Guinness. But also as well,
you're thinking of Paddy McGuinness. That's what it is, isn't it?
I think so.
Lightsaber,
But,
no lighty, no likey.
But Luke Skywalker as well doesn't know anything other than Ben Kenobi is like old Ben, the weird kind of hermit guy, isn't it? So, and
they can't do a storyline with Luke too much because Luke doesn't know who Ben is.
No,
other than his uncle calls him a
him.
crackpot in the caves.
I think that scene we saw with the hello there, like that was enough. That needs to be their only crossover between now and A New Hope. I think we need to see something with Obi Wan Kenobi become New Hope version. There needs to be something, but I don't want to see him. I want to see it positive. I want to see it moving forward because this series was very much about that, moving from such a down and depressed kind of position after everything that happened into, seeing Qui-Gon. So it would have to be positive, in my opinion.
So
like I said, I've got a feeling we'll see maybe like Quinlan Voss. There'll be something else Jedi related, I think maybe, but it will. I don't think it will have anything really to do with Luke and that. I think it will be like you said. I think that the hello there was perfect way to just go. So that way he knows of Ben. Maybe it means old Ben.
And the speech he gave Leia as well about, if you do need me, don't, that set up essentially the next, the New Hope. So I don't know. I'd like to see more. I would definitely like to see more. I think there's a lot of potential, but I think the only danger is that if you're doing kind of prequel era stuff, anything ahead of 4, 5, and 6, you need to be very conscious because technology and everything is moving forward, and I don't want it to be so far advanced that when you get to New Hope, it just looks really dated.
I'm afraid with Disney at the helm, that is definitely going to happen because they're going to keep kicking the cash cow because it makes money.
Of course they are.
Until we know every single piece of information about the franchise.
But I'll pretend to be like I don't want that, but I so want that. I love Star Wars. I want to see more Star Wars. I want to see more planets. I want to see more aliens. I want to see more everything.
I've said before, and I'll say again, I could see them taking on the original trilogy again, not refilming them or anything, but touching them up with CGI to make them look more modern. With technology today, with the way that they can do that whole, what do you call it, de-aging technology, the face thing where you can deep fake people now, they could do it so easily and add bits in, take bits out, put new things in.
I'd believe that more than them being remade. Like you said, I could imagine like special sort of ultra omega super edition or something. I don't know.
I would love to see something in the vein of kind of Star Wars Visions, but real life, but based on characters that we've seen, but kind of like standalone episodes. So things like all the Hutts. Yeah, but real life. Yeah. So you've got all like the Hutts, for example. I'd love to see like an episode around the Hutts, and I'd love to see an episode around some of the stuff that they touched on in Clone Wars and stuff. Just, I don't know. Just, I think there's so much potential there. So much information out there. They could be making series and TVs and movies for years.
Is a Star Wars horror show, like, because have you ever seen all the stuff about like what all the creatures are in the Outer Rims and stuff like that? They're freaking terrifying, a lot of them. And like Death Troopers as a book is an audio drama is amazing, like which is probably the most famous one. But even if it's done in like animated form, like a Star Wars horror series would be awesome, and it could just be called Star Wars: The Outer Rim, and it's just like Tales of the Outer Rim. Or there's that book actually as well called Dark Tales, I think it's called. It's really good. I don't know. I think that'd be a cool little side project to have, like, I don't know, like Dark Tales or something like that.
But with the style of what's going on as well, like the prequel films show the Jedi and show the fall of the Jedi, and we're in this kind of dark time of the Empire and stuff. Like they could do standalone films that have got nothing to do with Jedis or the Skywalkers or any of the characters that we know. Like you could literally have a film about, I don't know, like someone that catches creatures.
You mean like that's why we're getting Andor, isn't it? And things like that. We're getting that side of it now because that's obviously the next step. That's before New Hope and before Rogue One. So that's in this kind of time era that we're in now.
Waititi's film is going to be completely separate from everything, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's his own story.
What is his one called?
It's not got a name yet. It's just
Star Wars.
But he's doing a. But that could be a really interesting.
He's made a point
kind
of saying
take.
it's new characters, new. It's not like going to be an Origins or a, this is how they made the floppy disk that the Death Star plans were on. It's going to be completely like its own thing, not connected to anything. It's just going to be set in the universe, which I think is the right thing to do. I think you do need to do that sort of. Because the good thing about Rebels, it linked more towards as it went on, but it started off just being a band of rebels.
This is why I kind of like the story of Cal Kestis, because yes, it's set within the timeline, set within the universe, but he doesn't really touch with any other characters from the universe. He's kind of his own character with his own supporting, but he's kind of his own character with his own supporting cast of characters. Even though we see Inquisitors, they're not the Inquisitors we know. So it is carving its own little storyline. And how much praise did that game get? And we didn't needed that.
At the moment.
That's what I mean.
About it the other week, I was like, now and I saw the trailer of the new one. I was like, yeah, I'm replaying this.
What if they did that with Starkiller? So they gave like an origin story, but then he went off to like the Outer Rims just to kind of protect people and fight. But he's this Jedi that's kind of not a part of any group or faction. He's got the power, he's got the Force, and he's out there just helping people.
Not a full Jedi, but like not a good guy, but not a bad guy. Like just like Black Adam, I guess, in that sense. Like sort of anti-hero. Sometimes he's the villain, sometimes he's the good guy. That'd be cool. Like Starkiller would be like that kind of character,
having to do things to get by, but then also doing things to help people out.
My ultimate idea would be to cross him with Cal Kestis.
That
and have him as like the dark version of Cal, basically. So he can start him off as like an Inquisitor character, and the idea of the game is you get to play as both Starkiller and Cal at different points in the storyline.
Starkill Kestis.
Why if Starkiller's already in the new game? And that's why it's a hot topic. That's why people are talking about it. No, I don't know. I don't know.
Crazy.
But he is going out, isn't he? At the end of the game, he's got the. Did he have the thing at the end of it?
The holocron, but he destroyed
it.
He destroyed it. That's right. Yeah,
But they didn't want it to fall into the wrong hands and basically have all the children of Force sensitive given to the Empire. And he kind of said it's up to them to make their own decisions and way in the galaxy.
But he was still going out to find people, wasn't he?
Snatchers and stuff.
Yeah, he want to go recreate the Jedi Order, wasn't he?
Yeah. So he stumbles across Starkiller, that'd be cool.
Hey,
that'd be cool. No, I got my own. But yeah, I don't know. But all in all, I loved it. I absolutely loved Kenobi. I love Star Wars shows, cartoons, whatever it is. I think it did well. I think it did just enough. It didn't try to do too much, and left it very much open for potential projects moving forward, which is a real plus.
Are we not going to mention Kenobi's ending costume and what that was?
Oh yeah, no, we can. No, I was just saying in general, it's
because his costume at the very end of the episode is the mythos, isn't it? They got the mythos costume from that statue
Obi Wan
that got
Wanderer, whatever.
The one, it's from mythos, wasn't it originally, that statue?
Yeah, Wandering Jedi, I think it's called, something like that.
And everyone's tried to recreate that costume in Black Series and tried to make their own customs of it and everything over the years. And to finally see him in canon, I like that little nod.
Yeah.
It was a nice little kind of like, we didn't forget about the past, I promise, we're just doing our own thing.
And that was the most recent figure reveal as well, wasn't it? This week they released that figure.
And didn't they do an 8-inch Ned B as well?
Not 8, 6. Come mate, get your measurements.
I'll get it when you get an angle, right?
6-inch figures, 6-inch figures, not 8-inch figures. But yeah, no, they did. They announced a Ned B.
Yeah, Ned B in Black Series. That was the only Black Series this week, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was over on Wednesday, but I don't see they're going to be anything groundbreaking for the last one. Hopefully, it's a damaged Vader of some kind.
It's got to be Vader.
Series, which would be no interest in me, unfortunately.
I'm hoping for the Vader because it's a week after the program's come out. Everyone's had a chance to watch it.
Yeah.
Why else have they got a random reveal after the program's ended? If it's not a spoiler territory style figure. So a lot of people have said as well, we've only had 2 Anakins in Black Series. surely we could have that like version of Anakin from that flashback scene as well, because it'd just fill a hole in his collection of like an episode 2/3 Anakin as well.
Yeah.
Anakin Temple Assault or something like that.
Yeah, but I'm hoping it's the Vader mask one, because everyone's asked for that ever since Rebels. People have wanted that. So I think they should deliver on that eventually. But with San Diego around the corner, would that not be a San Diego Comic-Con reveal? Because it's such a big like reveal.
Yeah, or they might do it as a reveal on Obi Wan Wednesday, but as a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive.
That's just Borders. There's going to be a book to read.
There's that costume. Whee! They've used it in the comic as well.
Yeah.
By the way, this came out this week. Kuristan issue number 1. It collects all of the Kuristan stories from previous comics. So you get the entire story of Kuristan from start to finish in one issue. And then from there, it sounds like they're going to then expand on his storylines.
Where was that from?
I got this from Comics and Cocktails. They were from Wakefield Comics 616. It came out this week.
Who makes it? Is it Panini?
No, it's Marvel.
Oh, it is Marvel. I know Panini have been doing those compilation comics of a lot of storylines and stuff, haven't they, recently?
No, this is a proper American import release.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, in this issue, it collects all the Obi-Wan comics, Dr. Aphra's annuals. It's even got the fight with Chewbacca and stuff in the gladiatorial style arena. It's awesome.
Ooh. Okay, I might try and get that.
How far through it are you?
I haven't started yet, mate. But I've read all these comics before because I've got most of the books, but it was just nice to get the Kuristan one shot.
Get it all in one, yeah. So what figures did they release? They did the Ned B 6-inch.
The Ned B 6-inch Black Series. Then they gave us that 3-pack Amazon exclusive, which includes the Purge Trooper Phase 2, Tika, as they're calling him, the Jawa from like a split second of the program, and Obi Wan Kenobi in his blue to Sochi Station, wherever it's called, Summit Station costume, which he wore in one episode. So all in all, pretty naff. And then they gave us the best part of the release was the Inquisitor's blade. So the Builder blades. They're re-releasing the Inquisitor's one, but it's got all the pieces on it, so you can make the full Grand Inquisitor's one that spins, or you can make Revers that splits into 2, or you can make the Fifth Brothers, which has got the wheel that clicks to your back. So that's awesome.
That's very cool. That is very cool. Are they still pumping out those blade builders? Because at one point they were all over the shelves. Like they were really. So
Wave 1 was made. Wave 1 was made, and then we had COVID and stuff, and they didn't make any more during COVID, so they kind of stopped production of them. And then since we've gone sort of getting back to normal, the production started on the Dark Saber, Ahsoka Tano's proper lightsabers, and then we've got a new Vader and a new Obi Wan Kenobi one coming, and then we're going to get this new Inquisitors one.
All right.
But they've already said one of the future blades, because it was listed at Celebration, one of the future ones is going to be Carl, obviously.
Yes.
Of course they're going to give us Carl's. So obviously it gives itself well to a Builder blade, because then you'll obviously be able to take the bottom bit off that's broken and put the proper one on, make it a double saber. The whole thing of him building his own saber blends itself well to that kind of toy.
Sorry, I'm here. I'm just.
What are you two both doing? You both at the same time went like this. Like, what's going on?
I was literally like.
I started looking at the blade builders. I won't lie.
Yeah, that's what I had, and now I realised it had gone quiet. I was like, everyone's looking at them. Yeah, I like them. I like the blade builders. I think they're quite fun. But yeah, it's just one of them weird kind of times where everything goes really quiet. But both Marvel and Star Wars, I've not really got any hints or words on the grapevine about what to expect.
San Diego's 3 weeks away.
Yeah.
And then after that, we'll have a break, because then we're going to get Disney Plus and all the Disney stuff in September. So, I mean, it's a busy season now. It's Comic-Con season. So we're going to start seeing reveals at like MCM and stuff as well, hopefully this year.
Very true.
That would be fun. But this is now the kind of quiet time. This is the time where potential spoilers and stuff like that are, when spoilers and reveals and leaks kind of come out, it's this kind of month before the event. So I'd imagine there's going to be lots of potential this is coming images and rumors and reports and stuff.
For Marvel,
I haven't heard anything.
For Marvel, I think the next big reveal is going to be a prop, and I think it's going to be the bangle that Miss Marvel wears.
Yeah, I could see.
Okay.
And have it so you can press the button, it lights up and stuff.
So it'd mark in around the same kind of price as the Doctor Strange Agamotto, so about the 60, 70 pound mark.
Just because she's been so culturally kind of accepted, and a lot of people like this character. There's a lot of young girls that are liking this character because it's more relatable. I could definitely see them cashing in, wanting to give her some solid merch.
That'd be cool.
Obviously, a cosplay piece would just, even if it wasn't like a Marvel Legends one, even if it was just a one for kids, a cosplay piece like that would sell.
I'm still really disappointed they haven't kind of released the 10 rings from Shang-Chi. Like that would have been a cool, like even just have them in a display cabinet. Like
I think they're trying to work out a way to make them sort of that you can wear them somehow. I think they're trying. I think that is in the works. But I think they're working out the best way to do it so that you can get the sort of best play value almost out of it as well.
If NECA can do it and give us Bruce Lee hands that go wah, I'm pretty sure Marvel can do it.
Yeah, that's very true.
Did you ever get
any other
hands?
news? No, I didn't get them. Any other news across other properties anywhere?
Not really. It's been, no one's wanted to compete with Kenobi's season finale, so not a lot else has gone on this week.
TV wise, there's The Boys is on Prime for anybody who's watching it.
Watching it because I haven't actually seen any of it, but I am.
What, from series 1?
Yeah, that's gonna be my.
Oh wow!
I'm currently on series 2.
Or Umbrella Academy. That's the other one I've got.
And that was the other thing I'm going to say. Like Umbrella Academy has hit Netflix this week, and The Boys series 3 is 5 episodes in, I think. They're 2 properties that I really like, aside from your standard kind of Marvel DC. Umbrella Academy is very cool. There's something really cool about that. But I won't spoil anything for you. And The Boys is just insane. There's like the most recent episode is called Herogasm.
Yeah, I've heard.
It's let's just say, I'm trying to say this in the most PC way. The comic book of Herogasm is shy of like adult material. Like it's essentially it's a group of superheroes, super powered superhumans that all get together. I think it's an island in the comic book, but in this one it's like a house, and they all get together and they do things. And that's all I'm going to say. That is all I'm going to say. But it's brutal. It really is brutal, this series. It's really cool. Get on it. Get on board.
I'm up to series 2, and literally the other day I nearly broke my not buying anything other than Star Wars rule because I saw the Homelander figure and I was kind of like, I don't want to be opening that door. But I saw the Homelander figure. I was like, that does look cool.
Homelander
question for Ash.
Mm-hmm.
You know the blade builders.
Yeah.
Are they
Ryan
the
just
same
bought
as
like
the
15.
Forge?
The Lightsaber Forge, yeah. They're called Lightsaber Forge now. They were called Blade Builders, now they're called Lightsaber Forge.
Yeah, Blade Builders is
the same thing. And do they interact?
The Lightsaber Forge ones can interact with the new ones, yeah. But the ones from the Builder Blades from the parks aren't compatible with Lightsaber Forge. So if you built one in the parks, they're not usable.
Not the super heavy, expensive ones. I'm talking about like just the
everyday ones. In Hollywood Studios and in Paris, you can build the kids ones. Like basically the Builder Blades that you're looking at, they started as like Builder Blades for kids, and you could build them for like $10 or something daft, and then they've like gone up in price. But they're not compatible with Lightsaber Forge.
Gotcha. But like Blade Builders are.
Blade Builders are, yes, because you can get you can still get the Blade Builders Inquisitors one quite cheap.
Yeah, that's.
And it has all the big box set with all the yellow blade and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's compatible. I've got that one.
You're gonna have to talk among yourselves now. I'm gonna have to see what it is you're looking at.
I think you've got it, Jay, because you've got the one that spins. So I think you've got it.
Yeah.
It was one that came with the yellow blades and things. That you had the spinning bit, and you had like the almost like a knuckle duster style lightsaber. You could attach like 10 blades to it.
That's the one, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at right now. Oh.
But let me show you the. Hang on, let me show you this.
Stuff on it. Damn it.
Go and get it. Go and get it.
It's all getting very real now, Jake. I won't lie. I'm looking at it all going, ooh.
So this is the stuff that I've got for my kids.
But you now want it for yourself.
Yeah.
I get them just because they're cheap toys to review and they're a bit of fun. So like we've got the Mace Windu one, which I think is quite old school Republic style.
That's cool.
And it's just that they all just clip apart so easily that you can just add things to them. But my favourite one, I mixed Darth Vader's blade with the Darksaber.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's like it's got the Vader top part on it, but it's got the hilt of the sort of Darksaber.
So Darth
That's
Saber.
pretty cool.
The Darksaber. Well, the thing is, they don't light up very well at all.
No, they don't.
It's very naff, but they're good for kids.
Yeah, see, I'm trying to figure out which one I got.
I got them because my daughter likes to have lightsaber fights, and I was sick of her trying to grab my expensive ones. So I got a load of these cheap ones to throw around the garden with. So that, I don't mind.
Where's the yellow blade one?
There's one that's like a set, and it's got like a yellow blade in it. That's the Builder blade one from a few years back. Smiths were selling it. You can still probably find it. Some Smiths still have it, and it's dirt cheap.
I can't find the set that we got.
What I do love as well, I've just realised, is actually this is what we do all the time. We have become just three mates talking random stuff, and now we're just talking about we're just shopping. We're shopping on a podcast. I'm really sorry everyone listening and watching. We've just started shopping. I'm so bad. We're talking about.
No, but we're essentially we're bringing blade builders back. But no, the box set that we got, we got it a few years back, and it's got the spinning one.
Yeah.
It came with. See, I think it was this one, but it wasn't. So I thought it was that one that we got.
No, there is another one.
Okay, there's another one.
And stuff. It's got like
but it wasn't that one because we got the spinning part, we got the kind of knuckle duster part, we got two small blades like Kylo Ren sidearm parts, we got a main blade as well, or maybe I bought more than one set.
That does sound like you.
It's yeah. Yep.
And if you really want to have some fun, there is the Target in America. They released during lockdown a bunch of lightsabers that are compatible with Builder blades that are based on the ones from Galaxy's Edge, but they're like kids ones.
Oh, amazing!
So you can, and there's like 3 big sets of those, and you can build like the same lightsaber I built for $200. You could build like the kids equivalent of that one.
That's cool.
Awesome.
So
See, I
love stuff like that.
We've got that as well, but with red lightsabers.
Yeah.
And the Inquisitor spinning thing, and another thing as well. So we got, I don't know where this box set is that we got, but I just remember getting it, giving it to my kids, letting them open it, and then I was going, well, I better do that quick. Let me show you how it works. let me show you how it works. And that just essentially building this big, huge kind of thing. But with that said, though, like I've got my lightsaber, and my kids have got their ones, and they've got bunch of different ones. I think my favorite is my youngest son's, and he's got the voice changing one. Have you seen that one?
Yeah. The one that you can sort of go, you can sort of make a noise in it, and it keeps making that noise.
Yeah. And but it also scrolls through, so it's got like Yoda, it's got Chewbacca, it's got like Stormtrooper. And I need to send you a video from TikTok. A guy, I mean, seen it, and he says croissant. Yes,
He recorded himself, and he went croissant. So every time he swings the lightsaber, it's going croissant.
Yeah, but
I kind of I want someone to do like, someone did that thing where they on YouTube where they made the whole thing and just changed it to Owen Wilson saying wow.
Yeah. But
yeah, just
my kids, we'll wait till the lights go down and it gets a bit dark, and they'll get their lightsabers out, and then my youngest gets his one out with his voice recording and just kind of goes, "Daddy is stupid," and it, "Daddy is stupid," and I'm like, right, well, you're ruining the game now, so I'm not playing. Like, it's just mine's there going, and his "Daddy is stupid, Daddy is stupid." It's just, yeah, but no, it's a lot of fun. But I love the kids lightsaber range. I think that they're fantastic, and they're all good display pieces. But some of the people that have got like the proper Force Effects ones, like the big expensive ones. and they've got them all, and they're displayed on the wall, and they kind of do a video, and they're all turned on and stuff. I just think that looks awesome. Like,
I've got the Kylo Ren Force Effects Elite one up on the top shelf, and if that falls, it's going to take out my monitor. It's going to smash my monitor to bits. That thing is heavy.
I bet.
It is like that, and it is solid metal.
That's I like Kylo Ren's lightsaber. I'm not going to lie.
It's cool. It's like medieval knight type stuff.
Yeah, I really like it. I really like
Claymore.
it. It's what?
Claymore, basically. It's Claymore, big Claymore sword, isn't it?
And it's all because of the kyber crystal being unstable, isn't it? And so you had to create like additional parts to release the energy and stuff. Yeah. That was what I read about.
Depends what canon bit you read. Because some people say that it will still be his original. Oh, see, there's so many different versions. Some people say that it's like his original crystal is corrupted and has gone and is now, and that's why it's like, because Kylo Ren's attitude is like that. It's like he's not quite sure if it's dark or light, so his lightsaber is very similar, flickering and
fuzzy.
So I like that. I like that examination. I do like that version of it, rather than it's an unstable kyber crystal and you just can't be asked putting it together properly.
Yeah, that makes sense. I read as well
never
about.
Showed me how.
I read as well about Samuel Jackson's
Don't do that.
purple one being because it's essentially a blue one, but because he leans into the dark side of the Force, it bleeds a little bit, and that's why he's got a purple lightsaber. I was like, oh, that's a cool idea.
That's why I would love them to bring him back and do a storyline on that. That whole thing they've just said as well of revenge is a good motive to keep you alive or whatever. They could use that same line as like the starting line for the mall for like the spin-off of Samuel L. Jackson.
Do you think he would come back though? Because isn't he like one of the most like highest paid movie stars now out there?
He's already got a shoe-in with Marvel, and they're all owned by the same company. I don't think it would take a million miles for them to go, come on, come back and play it again. I think he'd do it because he's getting older. He'd get a good paycheck out of it.
Yeah, I guess.
And it's one of his favorite. He's always said it's one of his favorite franchises.
Yeah, that is very true. I just at the time that they came out as well, like lightsabers were green, blue, and red. Like you got to pick one of the three colors, and he just bowled in and was like, "I'll do this, but I want purple." It's just like,
but I'm doing it my way.
And George Lucas was like, "Yeah, cool, give him a purple one, whatever, that's fine."
And he does have bad mother flipper.
Yeah, written on it.
Yeah.
Does he really?
Yeah, there was a thing where he engraved BMF on the hilt, and when they wanted to do a cast for the lightsaber toys and stuff, and like for the expensive ones, they couldn't use his actual piece to cast it because he'd written bad motherfucker on it.
Oh wow, I did not know that. That is cool.
I enjoyed doing my custom of Samuel L. the other day. I'm not gonna lie. I burned his cape up, really rotten and stuff now. I took a lighter to his cape and things.
See it but it's on this bit. It's got BMF.
Yeah.
Oh, wicked.
Bad mother.
Sorry, Ryan is off your job here, mate. He is turning. He's auditioning for the man in a chair live on the show.
Well, I'm actually. This is part of our. We're quite responsible. This is our better business practices. So, in the event that Ash is unable to perform his duties in the chair, we've got a backup so it doesn't disrupt viewership or enjoyment of the show at any time. Ash is currently practicing saying people's names weirdly. Jake is practicing interrupting, which is my thing. You know, we're all taking a bit of each other's jobs and just seeing if we can do them to make sure we have a seamless show for you, the viewers.
How can you say seamless show off? We've basically all just been shopping.
Do you know what? Right. With on Kenobi, when they did that episode where they showed all the lightsabers in the crate, and they showed obviously they had other lightsabers there that Jedi had left behind before they'd escaped. They missed a trick by not having on like somewhere written that Doc Ondar's property or something, and tie it into Galaxy's Edge, and that's why Doc Ondar has the lightsabers in Galaxy's Edge to sell it.
Do you know
that could have been the perfect
honestly waiting somehow for you to tie Kenobi back to Galaxy's Edge, because I've never met someone who's a bigger fan of Galaxy's Edge.
I think
it could be, if I found a rock in the background of Clone Wars, I reckon within an hour I could get Ash to go, it was probably
It's because my room is slowly turning into Galaxy's Edge. I own like every prop now. I don't think I'm missing a single creature. I've got all the creatures. I've got all the sabers, all the props. It's getting a bit of an addiction now.
I liked your Dianoga the other day, by the way.
The Dianoga's awesome.
In the weird little like vacuum pod thing. That's quite cool.
That is cool. That is cool. I think technically I'll be the next one to go to Galaxy's Edge because it'll be open in Paris when I go over there, won't it?
Yeah. And let's be honest, I'm not getting there any time.
I don't count it as the same though. I need to go to Florida. Paris is just like a nice appetizer. Like it'll be.
I've not even seen the menu, so I don't know. You know, like I'll be happy with the appetizer.
For me, I got really excited. Obviously, as you guys know, when we saw the Lego trailer this week.
Yes.
And that basically opens up, like they brought the Halcyon now into that. The Star Wars hotel.
That was a very cool time. That was a very cool time.
Because that's the pod that they're in is the thing at the beginning when they're in that like pod. That is the pod that takes you to the hotel. That's how they take you from the car park to the hotel and tell you you're in space now. Wow. Like they've even included all of that, and then the dock with the actual thing, and it opens up just like it shows you in that atrium. That is a direct Lego copy of the actual atrium. If you look at picture to picture, it's identical. It's crazy the amount of detail they've gone into.
But they obviously want to sell this hard because they want people to visit. They want people to kind of.
It's going to be featured. They've obviously made the comic book series now. And it's also featured in. There's a new book coming out called Princess and the Scoundrel, which is the adventures of Princess Leia and Han Solo on their honeymoon aboard the Halcyon. So they're really going hard with the whole Halcyon is now canon.
Yeah, which is cool. It's cool to have somewhere that, as a fan, you can kind of immerse yourself in. Like that is really cool. Cool. So is there much else this week, or are we going to round it up there? It's like we've talked a lot about everything.
We've kind of digressed into other things, don't we?
Yeah, a little bit.
It's not the Geek Week in Review if we don't go off topic, though. It would be just it'd be one of those normal informative shows, and who wants to do that?
Yeah. So you're not with us for the next couple of weeks, Ryan, because you're off setting around the world.
I am, but you know what? I've decided I'm going to make cameo appearances through the use of through the power of the interweb. I will be sending a video because the good thing about it, so I'm going to Greece, and when I was there last time, my other half put a photo album together called "The Terrifying Toys of Zakynthos" because there really was some terrifying. There was a Superman that he'd accidentally lasered out his own eyes. That was horrifying.
Do you remember the toys I brought back from where was it? Crete, I think.
I actually used the guns from that weird Star-Lord Superman thing you had.
Yeah.
I've still got that weird Captain America Shrek that speaks somewhere as well.
I bought a figure and it was supposed to be Star-Lord. It was on like an Avengers packet with Guardians of the Galaxy pictures on like a animated Superman body in like a comic, a light-up chest with like a comic book accurate kind of Star-Lord costume with a helmet that I can only describe as the thing of nightmares and a head sculpt that looked a little bit like
which
I can't even put my finger on it.
With the helmet, which was actually just another head.
And then randomly, it also came with a minifigure that was like a Shrek dressed up as Captain America. And the whole thing cost me about €4. And I was like, yeah, man, count me in.
I also, last time I was in Zakynthos as well, the fake Star Wars Lego was called Star Wabs.
Star Wabs, yeah.
I laughed for about 5 minutes solid in there because the fact is, it was so professionally done. And then when you see Admiral Akbar with 2 gold lightsabers, I was like, this is the best continuity I've ever seen. So, it's a trap. Time to die. You know, like that would have been more.
I always love when it's like when it says something like on it, like the Avengers pack, and there's a random Batman in the middle.
Oh yeah.
Like, how did you get in there?
My favorite one I've seen.
Tank engine.
Yeah, my favorite one that I've seen is like, Avengers, and it's like Batman and Ninja Turtle and Power Ranger, Lightning McQueen, and then Captain America. And it's like, I don't know what crossover this is.
Someone missed a trick by
needs
not
to be
posting
made
that on the groups and saying, I've just seen a sneak preview from the Multiverse of Madness. That would have been a good meme to do that.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, but I'm going to do a little video while we're up there, and I'm going to send that in for people to enjoy the amazing and terrifying toys of Zakynthos.
I'll never forget when I was in Turkey about 6 years ago, and we bought we bought a little helicopter from my little cousin, and I didn't press the button until I left the stall stupidly. Push the button and it starts going, shag 'em like a lady, right? So I'm like, what is that saying? So my mum laughed and went, we'll ask the waiter in the hotel tonight if it's like saying something that we're not hearing, maybe in like another language. I was like being Brits abroad, like, what's this say? And pushed the button and it sort of smoked and went, shag 'em like a lady. For God's sake.
Amazing.
That's mad.
We got this soft toy turtle for my little sister when I was a kid. Right, and we were
and it's full of drugs.
No, it was not full of drugs. But it had this voice box in it. But the thing is, it was this really cute little fluffy turtle. And it went, I'm not even exaggerating, this is how deep it was. Save me, Coretta, Coretta. Save me, Coretta, Coretta. Just on repeat. But the problem is, because it was like a little pillow, again, we didn't know how to voice box in it. And Jasmine's like, she's not, put Jasmine to bed. Obviously rolls over at some point because over the baby monitor, you just hear, save me, Coretta, Coretta. Save me. It was like, it's the weirdest break. We're being burgled by an environmentalist. What's happening?
Oh, that's amazing. Oh no, we're looking forward to that video. When I go away, I don't actually think that we're near any stores that do the toys. I am going to try to hunt them out though, but it's one of my favorite things about traveling, like especially around like Europe and stuff, because some of them are fantastic. But I found myself like, I don't know if it's the kind of the collector in me, but last time I think when we were in Crete, when I got that weird Shrek Lord or whatever I want to call him, like they had a full kind of toy shop of these things. It was like a dedicated toy shop, and it was like I can only describe it as how you see toy shops here, but just they were all just knockoffs, like, and just weird kind of. And I was like, I want to spend all of my money here, but we're supposed to go and swim with the dolphins tomorrow. So it's like,
no, screw that. I can get a Robert Kopp mint on card.
It was like Robert Kopp and Super Avenger friends. Like,
but there's a market for that weird stuff, isn't there? Because like if you like in Mexico, it's famous for the dodgy knockoffs you can get. So there's a whole collector's market for it.
I've got a book actually somewhere. It's a guy in Poland's done it, and it's all about the Polish Star Wars knockoff movement. It's huge, but they are both brilliant and fascinating and so weird. Weird.
I think I don't know whether it's because I grew up with not as much money, and I did grow up in like southeast of London, but we had those figures on the market stall. They weren't quite as bad, but a lot of my figures when I played with as kids were dodgy knockoffs.
Like all my cassettes from like Transformer cassettes when I was a kid were from the post office. They used to have those little stands with like their 90p toys on.
Yeah.
They had these really knockoff, oversized, actual cassette tape sized versions of like the 80s Transformer cassettes. So imagine my confusion as a child when I had Soundwave, whose door window was that big, and I had the cassettes which were like that, and I was like.
I always remember when Turtles really hit hard in the 80s, and we ran around Toys R Us, you'd queue for hours to get like the Turtles and stuff, and I could never pick up Donatello, and I got him as a Christmas present one year. They were like, he wants the turtle with a purple headband, and I had the other three, and they were my pride and joy, and I opened it up, and it was one of those dodgy Donatellos or whatever, and I had to play with him, but he became my least favorite turtle because his arms always fell off. It's like, his arms and legs would literally come off with no pressure at all. So, and his face was really like it was really grimacing. But hey ho, kids nowadays don't understand the hardship having to enjoy and love those toys, but. It's nice when we go abroad and they have them on the shelf, and I'm going to try to pick some up. If there's a shop that sells them, I will bring some back without a doubt. Might even dedicate like an area of my cabinets to knockoff toys. Oh, there's a collection. There's a collection. But yeah, I think that's about it. I think that rounds our week up nicely. Been a good week. It's been fun chewing the fat. Anyone who's watching or listening, then do check out geekweekinreview.co.uk and check out all the links to the various different socials. Anything you guys want to say before we go?
Bye.
Keep it geek.
Geek Week in Review.